Hi everyone, I'm Daisy Rocha and this is what's happening in Brazil. We will start by updating you on the latest news from the country. Rio Grande do Sul has faced the heaviest rainfall in its history. The rain started on April 29. The state civil defense reported that the death toll from floods has risen to 100. 130 people are missing and another 374 have been injured. President Lula has vowed a comprehensive federal response to aid reconstruction efforts in response to the devastating climate disaster in the state. Lula also assured that the rebuilding process won't be hindered by red tape. There are plans to restore infrastructure, prevent future disasters, and relocate residents from high-risk areas. The Landless Rural Workers Movement, MST, has launched a solidarity campaign in response to the devastating floods in Rio Grande do Sul. 5 MST settlements in the Porto Alegre metropolitan region are submerged. As well as losing their homes and belongings, the farmers saw much of their organic rice production flooded. The campaign aims to raise funds to support the families affected in various municipalities in the state. Madonna, the queen of pop, performed her largest gig ever, drawing 1.6 million fans to a free show at Copacabana Beach in Rio de Janeiro last weekend. The concert featured classic hits and special appearances by Brazilian left-wing artists Anitta and Pablo Vittar. Many progressive names were honored on the big screens, such as murderer councilwoman Marielle Franco, educator and philosopher Paulo Freire, and popular quilombola leader Zumbi dos Palmares. This week, the São Paulo court overturned an injunction blocking the sale of the state water company known as Sabesp. The privatization, approved by the City Council and sanctioned by Mayor Ricardo Nunes, have been contested by left political parties and popular movements. Despite opposition, Governor Tarcísio de Freitas intends to sell the public sanitation company by July. Sabesp serves 375 municipalities in São Paulo, most of which are still undecided about joining the privatization. On its 20th anniversary, the Terra Livre Camp brought together thousands of people in Brasília, demonstrating why it is the main instrument of struggle for the country's indigenous peoples. During the intense week-long program, there was time for protests both outside and inside Congress, as well as debates, cultural exchange, and reflections on the future.
Brazil's federal capital, Brasília, hosted the 20th edition of the Freeland Camp, known as ATL in Portuguese. The largest indigenous mobilization in South America, the ATL has established itself as a benchmark for defending the rights of indigenous peoples worldwide. Over the last 20 years, the encampment has gained visibility and prominence. A crucial agenda has survived all these years and keeps important and seen as necessary.
I think land demarcation is the key, which is the guarantee of their territory and protects it. But we can't forget that demarcation also affects public policies that require protection and the removal of invaders, illegal loggers, and miners.
On the second day of the ATL, the first major indigenous march towards the National Congress set the tone for the size of the resistance being mounted against the main tormentors of indigenous rights. Last year, the Brazilian Parliament approved using the time frame limitation law to establish a cutoff line for indigenous land demarcations, going against the Supreme Court, which had already declared the thesis unconstitutional.
The National Congress has a serious problem against us. That's why we're against the projects they're implementing in the Congress. So everyone in Brazil is demonstrating against the time frame limitation law.
Today's march is intense to say we don't accept potassium in our territory. We don't accept violence against women in our territory. We also don't accept any kind of exploitation, even of wood, because our rivers, fish, and food are contaminated. With an estimated audience of more than 8,000 people, the Terra Livre camp shows that the movement is getting stronger and stronger in building dialogues between the different peoples, between plenary sessions and debates. It also seeks to make room for the presentation and preservation of traditions, whether through rhythms and dances, body paintings, or the various indigenous arts. An openness to plurality that allows ancestral knowledge to converge with current issues such as gender diversity.
Currently, we reaffirm ourselves in these spaces as indigenous LGBTQIA+ people, bringing all these experiences, even if there is a whole reality of our own, so that we can say that we also exist in these spaces and that this agenda is important. It is very important to be here with different parentes, different people, bringing all this plurality and diversity that these people also carry from themselves and their peoples.
Independence from any authority is also at the heart of the Indigenous movement, which calls for urgent land approval and demands effective measures to ensure the protection of rights. A letter signed by the Indigenous peoples and read by Juliana Querechu, the executive coordinator of WHIB, states that the expansion of agribusiness and mining are growing threats, have generated conflicts and murders of indigenous people, and can't be neglected. The time we want is the time for immediate action, where every second counts. The time we want is the time for immediate action, where every second counts to honor our ancestry and protect the future of our generations and humanity. Enough of legislated genocide. Enough of legislated genocide. Our rights can't be negotiated, and no one is going to take indigenous rights out of the Constitution.
In today's Culture Talk, you will find more about the documentary film Caymmi, homem de afetos, about the musician Dorival Caymmi, one of the greatest Brazilian popular artists who sang about the sea, fishermen, and religion in the state of Bahia.
É doce morrer no mar, nas ondas verdes.
Eu cresci ouvindo desde a mais tenra idade.
I grew up listening to songs about beaches, fishermen, and Iemanjá. No one will ever portray that, either before or after my father. And it's unlikely that another work about that will be as important as his work. That's for sure.
How many artists other than Dorival Caymmi have been able to write about death in such a sweet and poetic way? The composer from Bahia, who portrayed the state and Brazil in a singular way, is the subject of a new documentary film launched in April, the week Caymmi would celebrate 110 years.
For me, he's the greatest name in Brazilian popular music.
The film, directed by Daniela Breutmann, features testimonies from artists such as Caetano Veloso, Gilberto Gil, and Caymmi's sons and only daughter. There's this Brazil of Brazilian popular music culture, Caymmi's country, one that has so much wisdom, calm, tranquility, and peace of mind to contemplate the world and art. Caymmi was a man of contemplation.
Of course, he liked to be alone, to see nature and hills, animals, and the sea. He was a thinker. But I can't guarantee this will have the opposite effect because the world has changed so much. I don't know if my father would have been prepared for today's events.
Born in Salvador in 1914, Dorival Caymmi sang about the sea, fishermen, and candomblé, an Afro-Brazilian religion. He was a close friend of writer Jorge Amado, and the two wrote songs together. Caymmi also achieved prominence when Carmen Miranda sang one of his songs, O que é que a baiana tem?
Só vai no bom fim quem quer.
The documentary film features an unpublished interview recorded in 1998. The taping was initially thought to be lost, but director Daniela Breutmann found it, and the film crew recovered the material.
Não sei se é a minha veia de repórter também, né?
I don't know if it was my spirit as a reporter from a few years of journalism, but I went after it. I wanted to know where and who has it. It took many months to find the taping. I didn't find the film, it probably caught fire, as the producer told me, but I managed to rescue the analog tapes. So we did a beautiful job with the team restoring material, changing the color and changing the sound.
Eu e meu irmão Danilo tivemos acesso a essa entrevista.
My brother, Danilo, and I had access to this interview many years ago, sometime after our father passed away. Dad is a brilliant man, very prepared for things, and had a great experience of the world and everything. It was a fascinating interview. I enjoyed it.
Did you like the show? So hit the like button and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to receive notifications. We will see you next week.